everyone. We are out in Chesapeake, Virginia, and we are on the road. I'm here with the CVAS team, and we have an amazing story to tell you today. We've got some cool cars, and we've got a group of really cool car enthusiasts who are going to tell an amazing story.
Don Whitlow, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Kenny Brannon, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Bobby Cullifer, Chesapeake, Virginia.
And I'm Mike Oakley, also from Chesapeake.
All right, and I am John here with the Coastal Virginia Auto Show On the Road team. It's a beautiful day out here in Chesapeake, and we are out here to see two great cars with a tremendous amount of history behind it, and we've got the four gentlemen here who are going to help us tell that story. All right, so as we mentioned, we're out here in Chesapeake on this beautiful Thursday, talking with Mike, and I want to introduce really the star of this whole show today is this 29 Ford Model A Roadster. And I want to get Mike, because this story is very involved and it involves a number of individuals. If you can start out with this storied history of this car going all the way back to when you were a teenager.
As a teenager in Findlay, Ohio, I started building this Model A Roadster from pieces, literally pieces from barnyards, open fields, because I wanted a Model A Roadster. And as I started finding those pieces and putting it together, eventually I found the body. And that's quite a story, but long story short, I traded some parts and pieces and ended up with the Roadster body. So we built it the first time in a chicken coop next door to my mom and dad's house in Findlay, Ohio. And in that chicken coop, during about 2.5 years, the parts came together and it turned out like you see in that picture down below.
So I guess this begs the question that you didn't find or couldn't find a full-up car to start with, or was this your ultimate goal, was to try to find and piece it together as you went?
You're going to force me to tell that story. So I'm out rabbit hunting in Findlay, Ohio one day with my friend, and we find this Model A sport coupe sitting out in the field, completely rusting away, really bad shape. But it was a 1929. I found the owner, a farmer. Would you like to get rid of it? No, one day we're probably going to fix that.
Sure, we've heard that.
Yeah.
We've heard that story.
So the next time I was out rabbit hunting with my friend, I said, well, blam, blam. A few days later, I got a call from the farmer. I think I'll sell that car. So we, for 50 bucks, we went out, got it, hauled it back to my mom and dad's house, and started disassembling it. Keep in mind, it was not a Roadster.
Right.
It was a sport coupe. Actually more rare, but not a Roadster. And during the process of disassembling and then putting more parts together, took it all the way down the frame, I found a guy in Baltimore, Ohio, that had a Roadster body, but he wanted a sport coupe body. So I told him the situation. He came down and we traded. I still think he got the better end of the deal, because at the back of my Roadster was newspaper stuck inside where somebody had done body work, and just, that was bad. But we completely rebuilt it with a steel body, lead, and it was a hopped up Model A engine. Had juice brakes on it, and a drop front end, and it was painted Roman red in 1964.
Oh, wow. So we got the picture of that right here.
And that's what she looked like the first time it was done.
Very nice.
Well, Uncle Sam in Vietnam had some plans for me. So for 6 years, I left Ohio and came to Virginia. Was home based with the Navy out of right here in good old Portsmouth. At the end of my hitch, a friend of mine from high school brought the car to Virginia Beach.
There you go.
When he was offloading the car from his wrecker, the neighborhood kids were all around. It's the real Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And so we took her down again and completely rebuilt it this time. Street rodded it with a brand new chassis, Corvette rear suspension, Corvair front suspension, disc brakes all the way around, rack and pinion steering, and a little 289 Ford motor with a 4-speed. And when we got done building it that time, it looked like that. Got a little condensation there.
Yeah.
So this was taken at Findlay High School for my 15-year class
And
reunion.
as we were mentioning, there's you with a full head of hair. We were talking about that earlier. So.
I've got the same shirt.
Yeah.
So we kept it for 22 years. The family was growing. The rumble seat was getting a little
tight.
crowded.
Yeah.
So I told Linda, let's find a sedan body and we'll build it. We sold the Roadster.
Okay.
And I knew that after we had sold it to that next owner, there was an accident, but I didn't know all the details. Never really could figure out exactly what happened. And then the other day, a few months ago, one of my neighbors was near a garage up in Chesapeake. He saw an old car, took a picture. He said, "Hey Mike, I thought you might like to know about this." So I went over, and sure enough, the guy that had just retired as owner of that business knew about my Roadster because he had rebuilt it from the accident. It had had 2 more changes of ownership in the meantime, but he said, "Mike, that car is right now in Hickory, Chesapeake, Virginia."
Okay.
I couldn't believe it. He picked up the phone and called the present owner, Kenny. I
Okay.
said, "Kenny, I got the guy here that built your car." "No, Kenny, this guy built it in the 60s. And I was, and he also said, "Kenny, he wants to buy it." I said, No, I'm okay. I've got a sedan now. But as a result of that, I got in touch with Kenny. He turned the phone over to me, and we have become really close friends as a result.
And how many
of-
years ago was that?
Well,
how recent?
that's only been about 4 months,
4 months,
ago
okay.
that we discovered our little Model A
Right.
was still alive and well and in Chesapeake.
Very good. Yeah. So, Mike, it's funny when we showed up here first thing this morning. There was, I don't know, 6 or 8 of you, maybe 10 of you here in the garage, like, you know, once a week gathering and all that. And as we've been talking here this morning, come to realize that you have the second builder here as part of this crew. So what I want to do is bring Don in to talk to us and maybe get him involved in this conversation.
Great.
Because it's part of this history of this vehicle. So
Absolutely.
come on over. Mike, come over here.
All right, I'm coming.
So I guess we need to start with you as to, you know, where you came into the picture and the accident, as I understand that Mike was just talking about, and then you rebuilding it from there. So can you pick up the story from that aspect?
Yes, I'll try to.
Okay.
When I first I saw the car as the owner had it and he was using the car.
Right.
And then he had the accident. And then it sat in his garage in many pieces for, I'm not sure, maybe a year. And then he and I had a conversation and he decided to sell it to me. And between a rollback and 2 pickup trucks, we brought all the pieces home.
Right, okay. And so how long ago was that?
That was, that was back in, I guess, 98, somewhere in 99, somewhere along in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I kind of sorted it all out, decided what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to get rid of. And basically what I kept was the motor and transmission and the body home.
Okay.
The fenders, running boards were all broke up, tore all of it. And
So this must have been a pretty bad accident down there, or at least it hit every side of the car as it was.
Yeah, it flipped.
Flipped, okay.
It flipped, but amazingly enough, although it tore the fenders off, tore the front end off the car, and part of the rear end, which caused the accident, the only damage to the car was a little bit of damage behind the passenger door.
Okay.
It crushed that in about 2 inches. Other than that,
Amazing.
it must have went all in the air.
Right.
And but both people in the car were okay. One went to the hospital for about a week, but he was fine.
I know you were saying the accident was caused, what, the rear end came apart?
Yes, best we could tell, as it had a Corvette rear end in it, and one of the shackle bolts broke, and the spring dug into the highway.
Oh, wow.
And it went over some of those Jersey barriers
Sure.
and things like that. And so when I brought it back home, and I ordered a chassis for it with the coil spring front end.
Right.
And a modern chassis, and then I put a Ford 8-inch rear end in it.
And how long was your restoration process?
It took me probably a couple of years.
Okay.
Because I had other things going. I was retiring and a lot of things going on at that time.
Right.
And so I had it for a couple of years, and then I put about 100 miles on it, and it just kind of sit. And then the guy who had the car in the accident saw it and wanted the car.
Okay.
So he took it and drove it and said, "This is what I want." So he bought it, and then from there he kept it. I'm not sure how long, but it ended up, I think Elizabeth City. I'm not sure, but then Kenny Brown bought the car,
Okay.
and then since then
Here we are.
It's his. This is where it was.
So that's the third phase that we're going to get into, and I think we're going to bring Kenny in and talk to him here about the next portion of this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming in and sharing a piece of this very important story for us, and we're glad you're here
Couldn't
today.
have done it without you.
No, man, good to see you.
Thank you.
And we were reacquainted. We played tennis together when he was driving this car back in the early '60s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you tell about that?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
John Coleman.
John Coleman.
Coleman,
That's it.
yeah.
So we just discovered, and I think we caught some of this, but that you two, Don, and go way back into the '60s
We
as
do.
tennis players.
We do.
So there's another piece to this puzzle of how small the car world gets.
Amen. I
When you
was
look
actually
around.
in the business insurance, retired after 30 years of that. But that's how I happened to meet Donnie. It was through a business associate friend of ours, very very close friend, John Coleman, who
Okay.
owned one of my businesses that I insured.
Right. So what we want to do is now transition into the third piece of this, I think, as far as the history. Don found somebody that purchased this car and now owns it today, and that's Ken. So we want to bring Ken in here and talk to you about your purchasing of the vehicle from Don, and tell us a little bit about your experiences so far in the last however many years that you've owned this car.
Well, I didn't actually purchase it from Don. I purchased it from another party that bought it from Don.
Okay, so yeah,
There you go.
So we're missing one spot.
we're missing
Yeah.
one spot here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll fast forward to now to where you
Yeah,
are.
and then this gentleman needed some money, needed to get cash flow. So I looked at it, and the only reason I bought it was because Don built it. So
Right.
I knew it was built right.
Right. Okay.
Because a lot of street rods,
So you knew of Don, or you knew
Well, I've
Don
been knowing
from
Don
you've
since
known
I
Don
was
for a long time.
15
Okay.
years old.
Okay,
So it's
gotcha.
been a while.
All right. So this is a great story. All right. So how many years ago was it then that you purchased this?
About 6 years
6
ago.
years. Okay. So have you done anything to it as far, or have you just been enjoying it?
Just enjoying it.
Just enjoying and driving it.
Yep. I haven't done anything but clean it up,
Charge the battery.
charge the battery.
Now, do you all come out here on a weekly basis and meet, or do you meet
We
anywhere?
have not. We've not. We see each other once in a while at a car show. We're trying to talk Donnie into coming to more car shows because he's got some really quality vehicles.
Right.
But matter of fact, the Coastal Virginia Car Show, yeah, you need to bring one.
Well, you
or
need to
two.
bring and you need to
Yeah.
submit online.
Yeah.
We have next weekend. We've got the online virtual car show. You guys need to submit all your cars and get them online now.
There you go. There you
we
go.
have
Yeah.
we have the Best in Show and the People's Choice are going to actually win free admission into the show next year.
Oh.
So I think you guys, and then along with the other myriad of prizes and whatnot that we have. So.
Yeah.
I got one little thing
Don't bring your car then.
one little thing to throw in.
Yes, sir.
I actually bought this car for my wife for her birthday.
Yeah.
Bought it for her.
Okay.
For me, really. But
Yeah.
on my birthday, she turned around and remodeled her whole kitchen. So I think she come out ahead.
Yes, I'll say.
So that's how I ended up buying it. Was back.
We all have very, very supporting wives.
And my grandchildren, they loved this
Love
thing
this.
when they were growing up.
All right, so Ken, thank you very much for having us out here on this beautiful
Yeah.
day, and it's very neat to see the relationships that have been built out of this. And of course, we've talked about this, that car guys, and just instantaneously you find that bond and whatnot. And I think we've got that here with this story. So.
We have a lot in common. In addition to owning the car together that I once built, we have that common faith, family, and fun with cars,
Right.
in that order. And he's become a very dear friend of mine. So
Yes.
it gives me
Well, again,
goosebumps.
I'm glad to have you all out here today. Nice,
Great.
pretty day.
Great. Yep. Absolutely. Well, thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so hey everybody, I just got in from behind the camera. I came up to talk about the red car because the red car is one that came out to one of our car shows, and I recognize this guy. He was out there. Who were you out there with that day?
I had my two grandsons with me,
Uh-huh.
which was pretty neat.
Right.
Luke and Ethan.
Okay.
They came along. My daughter was out there, and one other guy with our car club, Terry,
Yeah.
with his T-bucket.
Terry with the T-bucket. So between the two of you guys, I think you wiped up the top, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah. So they took the, was it Best in Show and the runner-up as well?
Right.
So this was the first time that they showed up at our place, and then they definitely showed everybody who's boss out there. So we appreciate him coming out there. We wanted to finish up the story of the first car with what he jokingly calls, or somebody else has, his last car. So this one here is a continuation of the story of the Roadster here that he's built. Tell us a little bit about this, where we picked this one up and what we've done. Give us a rundown.
Okay, thank you. So as we began thinking about the dream, the vision of the completed sedan, we were thinking of a lot of space for the kids and all the creature comforts, and not have to worry about whether it's raining or not in a Roadster. However, life had a lot of challenges. Kids in college, careers, between military, law enforcement, 30 years. I really am an old man. 30 years as a commercial insurance agent. The car sat in barns, garages, pieces here, there, what heck. I was still collecting pieces, including a crate motor in 1979, a brand new crate motor. But we just could not devote the time to it to build it until 2016. That's when we decided we're going to try to build this car and start driving. And I checked with my friend Bobby first. He was pretty busy. He's a fellow club member of the Portsmouth Street Rod Association. He was real busy at the time and said, Mike, I've got so much lined up, I just can't get to it. So we tried 2 other shops, and I use that term loosely, in an attempt to try to get it built. One was 3 hours away and the other was 4 hours away. And long story short, it just wasn't working out. There was some pretty good work done, but failure to keep us posted, stay to a schedule, it was just very apparent that we needed to make a change.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't have enough control over your project.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's tough.
And that's something that a lot of guys go through, is they're trying to find that Donnie or a Bobby to oversee the project and build it, take it to completion. So I remember July of 2016, I called Bobby and said, Bobby, this just isn't working. He said, Mike, he was in York at the time at a rod run. He said, Mike, I'll finish your car for you. So we brought that car from Stanton, Virginia on a rollback all the way back here to Chesapeake, and Bobby began working in diligence. I actually got to help a little bit.
Yep. I heard about some of your help. So.
Well, this is my one of my best friends, Bobby Cullifer. Bobby and I have been members of the Portsmouth Street Rod Association for 45 years. 45 years, been friends through that whole process. And Bobby's one of those guys that has got a lot of common sense, a lot of ability, and he also is a guy that knows how to work. And so at the time at which we had run into some pretty serious setbacks with the first 2 shops, I gave Bobby a call. And I'll kind of let Bobby take it from there.
Well, I'm at a car show enjoying myself, and I get this phone call. It's from Mike, and he says, you know, I've had my car in 2 different shops now, going on 2 or 3 years of promises that never happened. You know, that wasn't kept. So I'm calling you as a last resort. Do you have time to put my car together? I said, well, you're lucky I got an open spot in the garage, you know, so I'm in York, Pennsylvania right now, so just bring it. When I get back home, I give you a call and bring me the car, and we'll get this thing together for you. So I shouldn't have told him that, because I got home Monday and Tuesday, and he said, where you want to put it? One of them deals. I said, okay. So anyway, he was en route from Bedford, Virginia, with the car on a rollback, and he showed up, and we put it in my garage, and then I looked at it and said, what have I got myself into? You know, one of those deals. But anyway, we did what we had to do to the car to finish it, and make him happy. He wanted to help, so I told him, he says, what can I do? I said, well, probably the best thing is just put this insulation in the floor and on the walls and on the ceiling. So that kept him out of my hair for about 2 or 3 days until he finally finished that, you know. And I'm doing mechanical things, and I'm doing welding and fixing this and fixing that. So it all worked out great, and then we got the car together and we got it to a friend of ours. He painted it real pretty red, and then we took it from the paint shop and we took it to another friend. All this car was built here local in Chesapeake, Virginia. So that just goes to show you that you don't have to go to California or New York and Kansas or wherever, you know, to get jobs and all when these old cars done. We have a lot of educated people around here. So we took it to our friend David Wells, local upholsterer in Great Bridge. He knocks the interior out. We did some engine work by a friend of ours, James Biggs in Suffolk, Virginia. He's a Chevy man. He put the motor together for Mike and put AC on it and heat and all the good stuff. Make it a good car and finish it up in what, a year?
That's right. Almost to the day.
In about a year, we had the car looking as you see it right here, nice and pretty.
Harry Hennis did the paint job
Harry
on it.
Hennis
Another guy right here in Chesapeake.
He did the paint. David Wells did the upholstery, and I did a little bit of work on it. So that's the end of the story.
Yep. Now just to backtrack just a touch here, he already told the truth on you that he asked you to build it for him twice and you said no.
Yeah, when the first time, I'm glad you brought that up. The first time I was busy.
Yeah.
See, I've only got a 2-bay garage, and I had cars in there. I think some of the other friends, big Chrysler convertibles and things like that. I was putting Hemis in 48 Chryslers and all. So I was busy at the time. So I probably told him, I says, well, just call me later, or probably suggested, see if you can find a shop, you know, that you can trust. And when you first go into a shop and you talk to the guy, he's all enthused. And, yeah, bring it to me, you know, and we're going to jump on this thing and knock it out. Well, that don't exactly always happen. Yeah. A lot of war stories come from that, you know. But we got it done, and everything's fine. He's enjoying the car. In fact, this morning I was watching videos of Louisville, Kentucky, and me and my car was sitting there, and Mike was sitting behind it, and somebody had videoed it and put it online and all see, and it was a beautiful day in Louisville, and everything was great. So I enjoyed working on the car. I could keep Mike's hands off what I wanted to do, because he always wanted, can I help, can I help, can I help? There's only room for 2 hands, small ones, in this little area on this Model A. So anyway, everything worked out great, and it made him happy, and I was happy.
Well, it goes a little bit further than that in terms of making him happy. It's really a dream come true. And when we took it to our first long-range rod run at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Good Guys event,
Yep.
they let us take it around the track several times. And my wife of now 49 years was running the video in the passenger seat as we went down the straightaway. Of course, we dropped way back, so we had plenty of room to nail it. But guys like Bobby had told me, Mike, if you don't go really fast, you'll slide right down, right?
Yeah.
So I said, oh, Linda, you know, so we're nailing it down the straightaway, and she's, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then we got in the bank, and she squealed like a teeny bopper and said, and I quote, I want to be a race car driver, as we went around turn number 2.
There you go.
So yeah, it was dream come true. 10,000 miles on her now since we've gotten it out of Bobby's shop.
There you go.
Local events and some long range events too.
Well, another little story too before that was this car here.
Yeah.
Back in the early 70s when we started the club, Portsmouth Street Rod Association, then we were going to shows all on the East Coast, up and down, you know, Roanoke, Virginia, and Martinsville. And one particular show was Cumberland, Maryland, with they had little events like, what do you call it, a streaker hummer?
It was called a street kana.
Yeah, it was
rod jousting.
Rod jousting.
Rod jousting.
Straight stretch, you know, about from you know, less than a quarter of a mile, and it had sticks over here with rings hanging on them sticks, and I think there was 3 of them placed 50 or 60 foot apart. And the thing was, you went straight ahead. Mike says, "You want to ride with me in the event today?" I says, "Yeah, sure, Mike." So I'm hanging off the passenger side with like a pool cube, you know. And as Mike was going through the gears, you're trying to stab those rings and get all 3 of those rings, you know, on that pool stick, which sounds easy until you give it this number, see. But anyway, the car was black back in then. He was real proud of it. 289 high performance, 4-speed, you know. And we had a good time at those particular shows back in those days, now, see.
How many rings did you get?
I got all 3 of them.
Hot damn.
Yeah, I got all 3 of them. So, yeah.
Great driving.
We did
Great
pretty
driving.
good. It was the
That's
driver.
what it was.
Because he had to get real close
Yeah.
and not run over the post. Of course, it was built so it hung out. So
Yeah.
anyway, great stories
Yeah.
from the past.
All right. Well, that's great. We appreciate you coming out and sharing your time with us today, Mr. Bobby.
Yes,
Bobby
sir.
built here. You know, we got Mike out here. Good buddies here. Longtime friends.
Amen.
And again, brought together by passionate cars and building them and making them cool, man, because these are some cool cars out here. So again, thanks again, guys.
We just want to thank both of you for participating in our On the Road series, and we are amazed by the story and the cars.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And we have a little something for each one of you as a
Thank
little.
you.
Ken?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We really appreciate you guys sharing this with us and your enthusiasm, and this is what it's all about, like we talked about earlier, and we've mentioned this a number of times, but you know, for the automobiles to bring us together, car guys and gals, and this is the true, you know, part of this. Don and you guys, the whole story is just awesome.
And we really appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you. We're honored to do it.
It's been so much fun out here, and where are we going to go next? Stay tuned, because we'll be on the road really soon. We want to thank our sponsors, VPI Services and Rooster Concepts. We really appreciate what they do to help us stay on the road.
Just to cut me down.